Okay, I think we're good.
You told me once to forget the past, because it doesn't matter. But nothing good came of it. There was no place for me to return to. This was the only place I could go.
Whatever happens, happens. Today marks day 2 of the diary series, and I obviously posted the first one. And if you already watched that, I'm very thankful. And if you commented, I'm even more thankful, because that means that I'm not just talking to myself, I'm talking to you, and that we are starting a conversation. And most of the time, not just on YouTube, even in real life, I feel that people don't care about my thoughts or how I feel. And that sounds very, very sad, but it's the truth. I feel that people are really just caught up in their own world, and the last thing they would need to be concerned about is me. And I think that goes back to when I was younger. I had 2 parents who worked a lot, one during the day and one at night, and so in between I would be in school. And my sister, we are totally opposites. I don't know if it's because she was born in the summer and I was born in the winter, but either way, she is into her own things. And I'm not saying if you're different that your sibling does not care, but personality wise, if you met both of us, you would understand what I mean. And so being me at that age, I just always felt alone. I always felt that I just had to figure out and adapt on how to just be me and do whatever it is that I want to do, or I could do at the time. And what I mean by I could is because when I was younger, I was restricted by a lot of things. I couldn't stay out late. I couldn't be with certain people. I just couldn't do a lot of things. And the list goes on, but I don't memorize it on the top of my head. But you could only imagine that someone who, like me, can you only imagine someone who you're used to probably seeing, who travels the world and interacts and networks with a lot of people. Back then it wasn't like that. I was someone who just would stay home. We didn't even have cable. I would just flip through the channels until I saw something that I watched. Sometimes there wouldn't be any cartoons because it'd be so late in the day, and I'd have to force myself to watch the news or race car driving or like Jeopardy. Like, there's nothing wrong with those things, but I feel that the generation today is definitely spoiled because they get to have all these devices. They get to watch whatever it is that they want to watch on different platforms, and whenever they want to watch it. It's not like you have to wait at a certain time. I remember when we finally had cable, or just in general, when you just watch on TV, certain shows or programs came on at a certain time, so you'd have to like really adjust your schedule so you'd be able to catch those shows at a certain time. And nowadays you could just watch whatever it is that you want, and so there's just much more freedom now in what you can do. And I wasn't accustomed to that. I literally am growing up at the time when things were adjusting from having no high-tech technology to having abundance of technology. And I think that's why my generation of when I grew up is just a bit frustrating, because there's just so much adjusting over and over, and I don't even know how it feels like to grow up with just knowing that you have technology the way how it is now. And so for me, being someone who obviously just stayed home all the time, when I finally was able to, for example, go on a plane by myself, I'll never forget that. You could only imagine growing up with a dad who is super strict. The last thing he would want to hear is that his daughter wants to fly across country by herself. And so I remember when I asked my dad, it was like the hardest thing ever. And we had to go through different people, and he had to talk to them to make sure that obviously his daughter was going to be safe with whoever she was staying with. And then, like, I remember when I got to the airport, my dad, he's known for being super serious, but then like on the side, he would like slip you like $100 bill, because in the end of the day, he wants you to be happy and to have fun and not just feel miserable. So you could only imagine when I went to California for the first time, and the whole arrangement of how I was supposed to stay there didn't work out the way how he knew or planned out ahead of time. He was very, 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 very upset. And it was not necessarily my fault. It was the person that I was staying with just last minute bailed and just said I couldn't stay there anymore. And then I had to go figure out a plan B and where to stay. And luckily I figured that all out. Not going to go into detail, but that's just an example of something that I had to go through with having parents who are strict. And I mean, it's a given. I am not a parent, but I understand, and I've always been told that once I am a parent, I would understand why my parents treated me the way how they treated me. But even still, realistically, I can only imagine just being a parent and then being afraid or having a fear and just being concerned for knowing that your child is going somewhere that they're not used to or ever been to. And I didn't have a person that I could just go to in case something happened, because I don't have any family out there. It was just a whole situation, and I think about it and feel bad, but it happens. I'm human, and as you grow up, you realize many things and you learn from them, and either you know that you shouldn't do it again, or you do it again until you realize you don't do it again. So that is just a side story that I have plenty of, and eventually, if you keep continuously watching this diary series, you'll get to know more of them, because I feel that at the age that I am, I'm not super old, but I've definitely encountered a lot of scenarios and situations that I haven't shared to many people, and they weren't any secrets or anything like that. But at the same time, I just felt that on my YouTube channel, I just always talk about photography, and I know people out there like you who are watching might not be a photographer, and you just support because you just care about me, even though I just said I think people don't care. And then this is more relatable because people have parents, obviously, or you wouldn't be born. And so you probably have some sort of story of where one time in your life you remember or recalled when your parent was really, strict or hard on you, and you had to do something about it in order to be on their good side. And for me, I definitely had to figure out a solution to all of that. And so anyways, so I just wanted to also, like I said on the other video, that I just wanted to share some good thoughts, good things that have been happening in my life. So Black Friday was last week, also Thanksgiving, but to not be on a sad note, we're not going to talk about Thanksgiving. So anyways, going back to Black Friday, I usually save what I really need to buy on Black Friday, because obviously that's like the best time of the year to really buy something super expensive that hopefully is on discount or on sale. And so for me this year, I got lucky because I, in a sense, already bought what I needed to buy before Black Friday, so I didn't really do that much Black Friday shopping. And so I got a new record player. I really never was interested in vinyls. I know many of my friends are, and every time I would hang out with them, usually if we go thrifting or what have you, sometimes they're looking at vinyls, and I never related because I never owned a record player, nor my parents owned one. Maybe back in the day when I wasn't even born yet. But anyways, I never was interested. And then because I went to a concert a week ago, I watched Gus Dapperton. If you don't know him, look him up. He is based in Jersey now, apparently, but originally from upstate New York. And he's more of like indie pop. I don't know if that's your type of music. But anyways, watched a concert, bought these tickets in the summer, and saw him in Brooklyn. And then usually I like to support the artist by buying something from the merch table, and I didn't really like any of the clothing that they were selling, and so I ended up buying a vinyl record of his. And so I was just like, I really like the cover of the vinyl, but then I don't have a record player. So what ended up happening is that on Black Friday I made it a goal that I would buy a record player, which is an Audio Technica. I asked a bunch of my friends recommendations. They recommended this one, and I didn't get the Bluetooth version because I felt like that was kind of too high tech for having a record player. So I got one that you could plug in aux cord to, and yeah, it's pretty sweet. I now understand why people have vinyls, because the sound obviously is definitely different than listening to it over on Spotify or on your computer or in your car. And so yeah, gonna probably now collect vinyls, and maybe that is an idea for people who want to buy me a gift on Christmas. You could get me a vinyl of somebody that you like. Wink wink, who knows. And the other thing that I bought is this tea press, I guess you can say. It's like a French press but for tea. And I used to always go to a restaurant that really just sold tea and Korean food, and it closed down now. So they had these tea press, and I was always amazed and fascinated by them, and I always told myself eventually I'd buy one. But then I was like, if I'm always going to just eat at this restaurant and drink tea, then why would I need my own? But now I remembered about it, and using a Chemex wasn't doing it for me. So now I bought this, and it wasn't even on sale, but I bought it on Black Friday. Another side note, it is December, and I don't know if it's because of the pandemic, but on my street I've never seen so many houses decorated with Christmas lights. It's definitely more than usual, and I don't know if it's because everyone has just been feeling cabin fever and they now just want to be in the spirit. Who knows? So every year my mom always puts out the Christmas tree. No, we don't go out and buy a real one. She has a plastic one that is one that's super extra. It rotates and lights up, and for her that's what makes her happy, so we just let her be. And so she is currently decorating that right now. And I just mentioned that because every time I meet up with someone's always asking how my mom's doing. So that's what my mom's been currently doing, is literally right now she is decorating the Christmas tree at home. I have a lot of things to say, but I feel that the video is gonna be too long, and gotta spread out the things that I want to talk about. And I think it's just because I'm so excited that I am finally opening up and just not giving a shit about people's reactions and opinions about what I have to say. And it's very therapeutic to have this session or way of communicating and talking it out, especially when I feel that I don't know who to call sometimes, because I feel that everyone is busy and the last thing they want to do is hear about what I have to say. And people can say, oh, Joan, like, you need to stop saying that. You need to stop thinking like that. And it's true though, because there's a time, and this is probably going to be my last story for today. There was a time when I was in New York City after work, and I was in a bubble tea shop. Why does this all matter? It's because that's what actually really happened. I sat in a bubble tea shop, and I literally called every single person on my phone. And literally it would either go to voicemail or they just didn't pick up. And I remember I cried. And I think that's really sad to cry in a bubble tea place. And so I remember that I was just like, nobody cares. Everyone who is in my contacts, like, what's the point of having their number there? And that's what led to me deleting a lot of contacts on my phone, because having all these numbers that I couldn't even really call, and just to have them, just to know who it is if they called me, it just felt so unfair. And so my call list is literally very, very minimal. And when people text me who I probably gave my number to or I have interacted with before, it's just hilarious, because they'll be like, hey Joan, can I ask you about this, or happy holidays, something like that. And then it'll just be awkward, because I'll be like, I don't know who you are, or who's this, and they'll be like, oh, it's so and so. And then that's the reason why. So if you got that text from me, it's probably because I deleted your number on my phone, because I feel that you're not genuine and you probably just need me for something, and that's it. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, my phone is very, very, very minimal, because I just feel that people are just not, available. And you could say like, oh, at that time, a moment when I contacted them, probably they were busy and they had a reason for why they didn't answer. But the thing is that I always mention when I tell the story is that that person could eventually call back or text, what have you, send a letter in the mail if you want to be old school, and say, oh, hey, like, I saw you called, is everything okay? But they don't do that. You just don't hear from them at all. And then what even bothers me the most is when you see them post on social media, or they contact someone else that you hung out with recently, and then you're just like, so if you've been active on all these other things and you've talked to so and so, but you're just not answering me, then that's purposeful, and you thought that I wouldn't find out. And then now that I did, you can't get mad if I'm calling you out, and then when you reach out to me, and then I now don't want to speak with you. That's what really upsets me the most. And I catch people all the time, and they think that I'm not going to confront them. They think that I'm just going to pretend that everything is okay and stay silent. And that's the thing about me that I feel that makes me different from a lot of people, is that I really speak up and say what's on my mind again, and they think that I'm not going to. And I know a lot of people rather not get involved or not be in drama. It's not drama. It's like, this person is the one who's causing it, not you. And you're just putting up your boundaries and just saying what's up. And people just don't see it like that. They just think that whenever something's not on the up and up or positive, it's bad. It's like, no. People need to tell people what they did wrong in order for the rest of the world to realize what they did is wrong, instead of just beating around the bush and just thinking that as long as I just pretend or not acknowledge this situation, I'm good. And it's like, no. So that's my little 2 cents of where I guess I just want to end at, because all this saltiness and frustration I have about people and communication. And I read this quote really quick, and it said, the best person to be with an overthinker is someone who's a good communicator. And if you're not a good communicator, the overthinker is definitely going to lose their mind. And so I realize the people that I really get along with are people who communicate really well. The moment you lie or you say something and then it doesn't, and you don't follow through, all of that, anything that's misleading, the overthinker is going to be upset. So it's better to be a good communicator, or else problems are going to arise. So that's it for now. Thank you again for watching. It again feels really relieving to just let that all out, and it's just comforting to know that some of you guys out there relate. So stay tuned till the next video. Sayonara. It's the end of the video, so don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It will help me in the long run. Okay, bye.